Hey, welcome back to the podcast. So happy to have you here. It's been a hot minute, actually, since my last podcast, but I'm back. Here we are. And to be transparent, the main reason it's been a little while since my last episode is because I'm in the messy middle right now. And if you've been following my work over the last few weeks outside of this podcast, you would have seen me talk about the messy middle, this in-between state on the socials, on my YouTube, and the latest blog that I wrote. So that's what we're going to talk about today, is that in-between, that real messy middle, and how it is so uncomfortable being there. And what I specifically want to talk about today is really diving into action, taking aligned action. This is so important when we're in this stage and we're really doubting ourselves, and that self-doubt comes in and we're like, oh, should I be doing what I'm doing? So yeah, let's talk about the messy middle and aligned action. Because when we're in that in-between stage, it can be really uncomfortable, and because it is really unfamiliar, especially if you're stepping away from something that has been so comfortable for you. Maybe it's a job or a relationship or anything in your life where it's been comfortable, it's been familiar, and then you're taking a step towards something outside of that, and it's scary, and a lot of fear comes up. And also what comes up is the uncertainty. We crave certainty. So when that uncertainty comes into it, that's when we're like, oh, have I made the right decision? What am I doing? Like, should I just go back? And so a lot of the time what happens is that fear comes up, that uncertainty comes up, and so we just turn around and go back to the comfort zone. We go back to what's familiar, and we just go back to that same state. And look, if that's your calling, if that's where you actually want to be, if that's your purpose, if, there is nothing wrong staying there if that is where you truly are meant to be. However, I do suggest that a lot of the time when we have that inclination to go somewhere else, or we have that pulling towards going somewhere else, that is your soul talking to you. And so it is those little breadcrumbs that get dropped around where we start following that. We start following our intuition. We start following what we believe is meant for us. And so it's really about trusting that, really trusting following those breadcrumbs and seeing where it's going to take you. And this is not going to be a linear path. And I think that's where we get so tripped up sometimes, is that we'll take one step and then that will just lead to the next step, and then that will be perfect. And then, we just keep following this beautiful laid out path, and then we'll just get to this destination that we think we're going to arrive at. And it's not like that. Sometimes it's 2 steps forwards, 1 step back. Sometimes it's 1 step forward, 2 steps back, and then taking another step forward. And that's working through that process. Again, it's uncomfortable, it's unfamiliar. But when we meet that resistance, that's where we have the opportunity to pause and be discerning about that resistance. Is the resistance fear? Is it fear-based? Or is the resistance simply us stepping into the new version of ourselves? Because when we feel that, when we hit that edge and that resistance, oftentimes we think that is a stop sign, and it's not. It's not necessarily a stop sign. There could potentially be a pivot sign. You may be going forward in one path, something's not quite working out, or there's some friction there, and you're like, oh, this isn't quite feeling right. Yes, pivot towards where your energy is taking you towards what's lighting you up. Following your strategy and authority in this situation is so key, because if you're not following your own strategy and authority, well, then you're following somebody else's path, and it's not your true path. And so then you're not going to get to where it is you're actually seeking to be, where you are meant to be, and where that driving force comes from for you to be moving forward into that next version of yourself that you're actually stepping forward into. again, there's a reason why your soul is nudging you towards that. So listen to that, take that step, and, don't get so discouraged by things not working out straight away, because sometimes, more often than not, they're not going to work out straight away. And again, that doesn't mean that you're doing it wrong, doesn't mean that you're in the wrong place. It just means that you're growing, that you're up leveling, that you're really pushing into the next version of you and outside of that comfort zone. That's how we grow. We cannot grow and evolve without that slight discomfort. So it's understanding that contraction sometimes is not telling you to turn around and go back. Sometimes the contraction comes before the expansion. So it's that real, faith of surrendering into that contraction and really trusting the process, trusting yourself more than anything, trusting yourself that you actually know what's best for you, that you know where you're going and what you're doing. Having trust and faith in yourself is so key. So what I really want to talk about through this messy middle and this in between is aligned action. Now, we're going to talk about the universal laws here. A few laws come to mind straight away when we're in this place. And yes, the law of attraction, it's a very beautiful law to be using in this time, because we want to attract like for like. So we want to put ourselves in that frequency and that vibration of allowing to attract like for like. So that's a beautiful law to be using here, as well as the law of intention. So setting your intention on where it is that you want to go, who it is you want to be, setting the intention of what you're calling in, what you're manifesting. So that is a beautiful. So having the law of attraction, the law of intention are beautiful key ways here. The really important law in this messy middle is the law of action, because having intention and attracting in the right vibration, the right frequency is all great. However, if there is no action, then they're just sitting there, placing your thoughts towards what you're calling in and what you're manifesting. And, we're placing ourselves in that right frequency and starting to attract like for like. You can really start feeling the shift when you're getting yourself in that place. But it's the law of action. So taking inspired and aligned action throughout this messy middle. This is where we're really highlighting and really pulling in and drawing in this force that's moving energy. The law of action is the force that moves energy. And when you start putting that energy out into the universe through your actual physical actions, then this aligns with the energy around us. And this is where you're creating those opportunities and those synchronicities and, those connections and, or meeting that person that you're calling into your life. Whatever that is, you will start seeing those outcomes being created in your reality. And so the thoughts and the intentions are shaping what we want to attract in, but our actions are the catalyst that brings all of our desires into our reality. So with aligned and inspired action, there is a difference between forcing something and it being in alignment. There's a lot of discernment between forcing something you think you should do as opposed to leaning into the resistance or the fear and doing it anyway. So let's give an example of networking. I have a huge fear of networking. Now, it's actually a fear. It's not a resistance against, that I shouldn't do it. It's actually just a fear that I need to overcome. And so having that fear does not necessarily mean that that's a wrong thing to do, because what happens is there will always be fear that holds us back. That could be the fear of being seen, the fear of failure, the fear of being judged. Like there will always be a protector part within you trying to keep you safe and trying to stop you from stepping into that unfamiliar, because it wants to keep us safe. Our protector parts wants us to stay safe and be familiar. So the uncertainty has this way of either limiting us from moving forward or keeping us in that comfort zone. That's what uncertainty is doing, and that's what our fear is doing. So our fear is really keeping us separate from our divinity. It's keeping us separate from reaching our full potential and what we are here to do in this lifetime. So that's where aligned, inspired action is so powerful. And it's just taking the small steps, incremental steps, because once you take that small step and you start seeing the success from that small step, it gives you confidence to take another step. And then once you start taking those small steps, that's when the momentum comes. And all of a sudden you're in this beautiful flow, and the fear disintegrates around you. It's still sitting there in the background, but it's not actually directing you anymore. You're directing yourself through your aligned and inspired actions. Now, with this action, I'm not talking about hustle culture action. I'm not talking about doing things just for the sake of doing things. This is all about aligned, inspired action. It's following your pings, it's following your intuition, it's what lights you up, what gives you energy, what you have the energy for. This is the inspired, aligned action. And there is a lot of discernment. As I said before, there's a lot of discernment between trying to force hustle action or doing it because you think you should, as opposed to feeling that fear, feeling the resistance, feeling the contraction, the tension, and knowing that that is the path for you to still take, and taking action to continue walking on that path. It's such a beautiful, beautiful thing to be doing when you're in the messy middle, because we can get so caught up in this isn't working for me. And as I said before, like the self-doubt comes in, and it is so much easier just to turn around and go back to where you were. So much easier. But you have a calling for a reason. And so listen to that. Listen to what your soul is asking of you. Listen to what your intuition is showing you. And again, depending on your energy type, your strategy authority, this is going to come to you in such different ways. And it's really listening to your body and understanding where your decision-making powers are within your body. Is it in your gut? Is it in your spleen? Is it your emotional wave? Like really understanding how to follow what your body is calling you forward through. So back to the law of action, the law of action really encourages us to be consistent, to be persistent, and to commit to our journey of moving forward. And as I said before, it's those small steps, those micro actions, like they do compound over time, and they do generate energy. Like energy creates energy, and then that manifesting power starts coming into it. And, all of a sudden you have this momentum and you're moving forward. That's when you're building that confidence and you're really bringing your ideas into reality then. So don't be afraid of the discomfort. Learn to work with it. Like see how the discomfort and the uncertainty is actually the chrysalis of the next version that you are emerging from. It's okay to be in this little cocoon for a moment in time, and being there and actually embracing the discomfort that exists within that chrysalis. Because that's where you're growing, that's where you're evolving, that's where you're moving forward into that next iteration of yourself. So if you're in the messy middle, I get it. If you've been there, you're in it, you're going to be there soon, or you're contemplating taking a step out of your comfort zone, I really see you in this moment. I'm in it myself, and it is this law of action that is giving me so much comfort in what I'm doing, why I'm doing it, and how I'm moving through it. It is such a beautiful reflection for myself to be here, to honor where I am right now and being really proud of where I am and what I'm doing. It's just such a beautiful space to be in there. So I really encourage you to not fight against the messy middle, this in between, because this is where the expansion is happening. This is the breakthrough that is coming forward into your next chapter, your next version of you. So I just want to let you know about a beautiful offering that the doors are open right now for, and this is the Alchemy Circle. This is a 12-week group coaching container. We start in February. The doors are now open for applications, and I'm so proud of this container that I'm building. It's going to be a transformation and expansive space. It is a space where you are guided. You're guided through your body, through your breath, and your inner work. And it's really about bringing you back to the woman you already are. So, this is a live group coaching container. So, there's no pre recorded modules to watch, and there's no workbooks that you download and actually never open. This is not information without integration. This is a live, intimate, small group coaching container. It's limited to only 5 women because I really believe that this is where we have the opportunity for real transformation to happen in real time. And this is where you are genuinely coached. You are genuinely witnessed and held by a community of women doing exactly the same work. So when you are part of the Alchemy Circle, you become part of the community space, which is the Alchemy Collective, and you actually have access to the Alchemy Collective for a full 12 months. So after the 12-week container, you actually still stay connected with the community, with the cohort, with myself for 12 months. So you continue to receive support and mentoring from myself and from your peers. And each cohort through the Alchemy Circle then becomes part of the Alchemy Collective, and this is how we all grow into a beautiful community. So if this appeals to you, the applications are open now and they close on the 31st of October, and we do start in February in 2027. So applications are open, and I'm so excited. I will put all the details in the show notes below. And this isn't a sign up and pay process. You actually apply to be part of the container because it's really important that we align and that we resonate and that this space is the right space for you. So again, I'll put the link in the show notes below. And if you're ready, you can apply and we can chat. We can chat before any commitment is made. So thank you so much for being here with me today on this episode. I so love being here. I'm so glad I'm back after my little break over the last few weeks, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Bye for now.